Welcome to section 4 of ITIL Foundation training program. This is about the 7 ITIL guiding principles. The 7 ITIL guiding principles are one of the component of the service value system. The 7 principles are focus on value, which is the most important principle. Start where you are, progress iteratively with feedback, collaborate and promote visibility, think and work holistically, keep it simple and practical, optimize and automate. What is a guiding principle? It is a recommendation that guides an organization in all circumstances, regardless of changes in its goals, strategies, type of work, or management structure. Which means a principle is not to be used only in one situation. They need to be considered in all situations, be it small or big. Guiding principles are universal and enduring. They have been proven, tested for success, and they apply in all situations, and they're enduring. Meaning they're valid for a longer period of time. It may take several years before new principles may get added and older principles may not be so useful, though they may still be used. It is essential that all the 7 principles are considered in any IT service management endeavor, be it a small or a big task. However, it is possible that certain principles are more relevant in certain situations. In one situation, the focus on value could be more relevant. In another situation, start where you are could be more relevant. But in general, the focus on value should be used in all situations. These ITIL guiding principles help the organization to inspect and adapt service management. The reason some of the lines here are in blue throughout this presentation is they may be more important for the exam to remember those terms. So for example, inspect and adapt and all circumstances have been highlighted. Even more than just being blue, they're also in blue bold font, which means they are quite important for the exam. Inspect and adapt means it is possible to check using the 7 principles whether something is okay or not. For example, a specific process, let's say a procedure to respond to a user request. Is that procedure okay or not? Can be checked by inspecting that procedure against these 7 principles. If it is okay against these 7 principles, then leave it as it is. Otherwise, they may have to be modified or adapted. So therefore, these principles encourage and support organizations in continual improvement. Principles are a good way to test existing things and improve them. These principles are not new. One or more of these principles may be found in other frameworks such as Lean, Agile, DevOps, COBIT, etc. COBIT as in control objectives in IT. DevOps means development and operations culture combined. So once again, these principles are universally applicable to all initiatives almost and with all stakeholder groups, which means that these principles do not apply only for certain stakeholder group or certain situations, certain goals, certain strategies of an organization, but to all the goals, objectives, purposes, and strategies of the organization, they apply. To all stakeholders group, they apply. To all relationships, they apply. To all initiatives, they apply. One more thing is that the first principle, focus on value, though it relates more to consumers of the service, but they should be checked against other stakeholders also, because every stakeholder in service management is expecting certain value, though the customer is the most important stakeholder. Let us now go into each of these principles and understand them more. In the exam, you have to know some of these deeper concepts of each principles in order to detect which principle the question is related to. You may have questions such as, which of the below relates to the focus on value principle, or what does focus on value principle imply? So be prepared for those questions by understanding these quite clearly. Focus on value. Everything that the organization does needs to map directly or indirectly to value for the stakeholders. Which means every small task or a big task, all energies which are spent need to be focusing on value. There are specific steps to focus on value. And the first and most important step is to understand and identify who the service consumer is. It is not okay to directly go and understand what value the customer is or consumer is expecting, or to map that value to the outcome, because the outcome can also change over time. The value can change over time. Also, it is much afterwards to understand the customer experience and the user experience once they have received the service and used it for some time. Therefore, the first and foremost, who the consumer is and who they are is most important. Do watch out in the exam. You may have a question on the first step of focus on value. And as we know from this principle, we already know how consumers use each service. Once we know who the consumer is, it is also important to know how they use the service. Encourage a focus on value among all staff. All staff should be educated about what value is and what value stakeholders are expecting so that they can do their jobs to co-create value. Another one, the application of this is focus on value during operational activity as well as during improvement initiatives. Operations, yes, definitely is about value, but improvement is also about value, not a random improvement, but improvements which create value. And one more about the improvement is include a focus on value in every step of any improvement initiative. It is not just about the overall value of an improvement which is expected, but also the value expected from each step of the initiative. Let us take an example of focus on value. A telecom company planning to make it easier and quicker for its subscribers to view their phone bills online and make payments in an easy manner would have these as their value expectations. Meaning, only if easier view of bill and easier payment, faster payment of the bill is a desire or an expectation, then only those features should be provided. Focusing on value is about that. Let us look at how in each step of an improvement initiative, value should be considered. Let's say there is an initiative for skills improvement. Of course, that itself will has to focus on some value proposition. However, each step of the skill improvement should also focus on value. And maybe one of the steps of the improvement is to impart training to new staff. There may be other steps like improving training facilities or having better instructors or trainers or better workbooks or sample quizzes, etc. And imparting training is just one element. And it should be checked whether imparting training will add value. For example, if the training is about creation of innovative design, then it should be ensured that yes, innovative design is one of the value propositions expected by a stakeholder. Otherwise, this step should not be carried out.